Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Did the New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr, amid all of the turmoil of the last week, go to Indianapolis and find themselves a little bit? Did this offense find its unlock, or is Indy just a really bad defense?
You know what? It's funny because there's some people out there think Indy plays good defense. I thought going in, Indy's defense was a little overrated. I did, and I'm with you. But you still, hey, listen, man. Like you mentioned, LSU. Every now and again, you step up and. Pride's an amazing thing, as is embarrassment, to get your team rolling the way you want to. And Indianapolis defense isn't going to finish at the top, but they won't be the worst either. But the defense that you guys bring to the table is different. Now, I know that there was some points exchanged, and Gardner Minshew makes some pretty good decisions. But find themselves, I'll tell you what, I'm like I said, I'm not concerned most of the time about their defense. And this is the maddening part about it, Matt. You watch that game. And in the AFC South, who the hell knows other than Jacksonville if anybody else is going to be above 500 in the division, right?
Yeah.
Tennessee thinks now, we've already got Will Levis in the Hall of Fame, right? And then we got Levis now as a Hall of Famer after one game. You know how that goes, man. He looked damn good, though, so it was impressive. And the Colts have been playing solid football. They're running it and throwing it pretty good. They're just having trouble getting off the field themselves defensively. But for me, the maddening part about it, which we discuss, is this is what the Saints, what we envisioned, getting Kamara mixed in, spreading the ball around, scoring in every quarter from the beginning until the end, and then putting the clamps on them in the third quarter coming out of the locker room so they don't score, and then closing out a game when you score 38 points in a league, even though you gave up, I think it was 27 of them, you're going to win most of your games. So the maddening part is, Maddie, and I'm sure you go through this and have talked about it on your show ad nauseum, is when you see this, you say, man, this isn't cubic zirconia. This is a real dime. They can play. And then you say, okay, now sustain it. Now let me see you in a game. They went on the road. That's a tough place to play and a solid football team. Not spectacular. But you take them any way you can get them. Hard to come by. So the thing for me is now what do you do to sustain it? We saw something. Carr, who we said is accurate, he'll put up numbers. But if he gets hit early, if they're in a chase mode, and a lot of times in the past, they've put themselves in a bind when he was with the Raiders and forced the team to throw and throw and throw to get back into it to make a comeback. You don't want to have to keep living like that. And so by taking care of this business, so the maddening part is there's potential there that they hit sometimes. The question is, are you leasing that space or can you live there? And we'll get a better idea where that offense is headed this week because things don't just change in a week, but there are moments that make you feel better about it. And Carr on that offense looked different this week. And then you get Taysom Hill doing his thing, which we're used to. And what Maddie, they rushed for, 190, 180 yards. I can't remember what it was, but they had a lot of different bodies involved, 170 yards, whatever it was.
Here it is. They threw for 350 and ran for 161.
That balance is going to win you a lot of games, especially with that defense, the way they play. So, and like I said, Minshew, although it was I think he threw 40-plus times, and they did a good job of not letting him explode. And then they hit some big plays, which is so important. And then the Taysom Hill Swiss Army knife. So the maddening part is that they show us this, but I need to see sustained before I can tell you they've turned a corner offensively.
Sean, and it's wild because this is the third consecutive game the Saints have gone over 400 yards. That's the first time that happened since 2018. So a lot of people have been making a big deal of that. But as you mentioned, a lot of that was playing catch up and gobbling up yards late in games like against Jacksonville while you were trying to.
And I don't care about the yards, Matty.
Right.
Honestly, and now it looks pretty. I mean, when I say I care about it, it means you're moving and chains are moving. But the yards. Hell, if you got to grind out 225 yards and you find a way to win, I'll take that any day of the friggin' week, right? But when it's pretty and you win and you grind it out and 400 yards, and at no time this offseason when they came here, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, when they started, have we ever sat here and said that the Saints are not going to put up numbers? No. We know. I can go through them. Dak Prescott's going to have numbers. Kirk Cousins is going to put up numbers. Derek Carr is going to put up numbers. There's guys that are going to put up numbers now to sustain that with your team and elevate the guys around you. Listen, they will put up numbers, and they did this week. And like I said, we're not mistaking them for Drew Brees yet, but when I see this, it tells me that this team should be better and more consistent offensively.
To your point, Sean, they put a 430 in your backyard there in Houston, scored 13 points. So the yards are pretty. I'd
rather have 38 and 300 yards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Matty? I'll take that any. A short. Hey, give me 4 short fields where we only cover 37 yards to go score. I'm good with it, my man. I'm good with it.
But Sean, the Saints have a really interesting path ahead of them now. They win to get to 500, and they have a share for the division lead, and now the Bears come in. And the Bears are going to start Tyson Bagent again. Look good in his first start, not so great this last weekend. How would you look at that matchup, Sean, the Saints defense against the Bears rookie coming in?
Well, when Fields is playing, he gives you that what if today's the day? You know what I'm saying, Matty? Game, right? What if today's the day that every ounce of running and throwing ability he has and the players, it comes to fruition? What if today's the day? That's what he gives you. Now, Bagent, I'm just telling you, and I spent a lot of time talking to people in Chicago before, and most people never even heard of the guy before the season started. You and I have talked about, if you follow football, you knew a little bit about him because he threw for a lot of yards and did all that. And was it Division 2 or 3, whatever
Shepherd,
it was.
Division 2 Shepherd,
right? Exactly. But he's from what I heard, his ability. The reason he made the team, the preseason, is his ability to processing the information quickly and understanding. And I'm going to tell you, as far as just a drop back pure throw, and he's got some legs, Manny, I'm not so sure that just when to drop back to throw. Because what does Fields lean on when he's trying to get better, but he leans on his biggest strength, and that is to destroy you with those legs and try to make big play. And if it's not in rhythm, then he does his thing. Bagent's got a little more patience there. It's like a patient running back. He's not running into the back of his players because he's waiting for it, and then the cutback comes in. Vision, patient running backs. I think at this stage, even though he's in the infancy of his career, I would say that he probably has a better idea how to be patient. He's not trying to hit the home run every time. And in his first start, he was really good. And you're right, last week wasn't as good. I think what you get is a guy that the ball should come out quicker. They realize the defense is going to be difficult to deal with, so it won't matter who the quarterback is. But what the Fields thing does, it makes you play width and the length. You got to cover every single foot of the football field, but it's not consistent with the throwing game. I think he's a more consistent, pure passer. Fields is a much more dynamic talent and has plenty of arm, but you lose one edge, but also as a play caller, you can also get locked into thinking, you know what? I don't have to worry. I can go through these progressions because he may get to the second or third guy. So you're going to get a little bit more patient quarterback, not as dynamic with him in the game, but I would not take him for granted because they know what they're getting from Dennis Allen in this defense. So they're going to try to offset it and try to limit your guys' possessions as well. But I would expect more patience. You may not get the monster, big, dynamic 4 or 5 chunk plays with legs and arm. But I'll tell you what, if he's not getting hit, the ball comes out. He can deliver the football. I just think overall as a weapons team with their weapons, I don't think the gun's got all the chamber is not loaded, and I don't think they got a whole lot of bullets in the magazine. They got to have some outlier games for them to keep up with a defense that's far better than their offense.
So the Saints they win in Indy to get to 500, Sean. They're gonna face the Bears and Tyler
they're gonna win.
Bagent at home.
They're gonna beat right,
and then they go to Minnesota with no Kirk Cousins, where they're likely going to face Joshua Dobbs. I would assume that's probably what's going to happen. They're showing after the trade today. I mean, sometimes in the NFL, you got to have breaks fall your way, and some are falling the Saints' way. What about if an early thought here on that game in what that means for New Orleans having to go to Minnesota, and instead of facing Kirk Cousins, now they're likely going to face Joshua Dobbs.
And like I said earlier, you can make the argument that Cousins was playing as well as he's ever played, and he was playing as well as any player at his position in the league. And Matty, we wait. Maybe sometimes it happens in year 12. Sometimes it happens in year 2, where something clicks in, and it almost felt like he was starting to elevate the guys around him instead of just the numbers. There's a little more winning substance, and Cousins is a hell of a player. So you're going to lose that, and a hell of a leader. But I'm going to tell you, Josh Dobbs is a little underrated. They're trying to clear the way to get Clayton Tune in there, and Kyler Murray's coming back. If neither one of them work out, they're going to go draft a quarterback anyway. So they wanted to clear the slate, and this gives Dobbs is the better option right now. Jaron Hall's a dynamic kid, and at BYU he had some real skills, but Dobbs is a little more experienced and poised. So he can keep you in a game, but they should come out of this because the weapons are at a minimum now. You can score from anywhere on the Vikings defense normally.
Yeah.
Body experience against the 49ers. So if you just look at it on paper, they should win both of these games, but it is the NFL. But you're getting two quarterbacks that, quite frankly, while I have no business beating the Saints defense, as long as you don't do something stupid, you don't take it for granted, and you don't give them short fields where it's like, damn. But I can tell you, they will do the crash course with Josh Dobbs and get him ready. And he can make a few plays. He's kept them in games. He kept them in the game last week against Baltimore. So there's some substance there. But the Saints coming out of this should be 6-4, sitting their way in either tie or in first place and doing what we thought they'd do when the season started, winning the division or at least be in position to do that 10 games in. But it's luck of the draw is good. I wouldn't take it for granted. But you're not the Cousins Vikings, even without Jefferson. They can still score 35, and they can still throw for 400 yards. He's been that good this year. I don't expect you guys to lose the next two, even if it's an ugly game. They should win both of them.
You'd be 6-4 going into your bye, and then you got a game against Atlanta, who just benched Desmond Ritter. I mean,
which means you're 7-4 as long as we don't screw it up here, right? Get it done.
Well, with Dennis Allen at the helm, there's not much confidence in these parts, but here's hoping. Sean Salisbury on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Make sure you download the Pro Sports Fans app. Sean's the president there, Pro Sports Fans. Check out the app. They're doing great stuff there. Sean, we always appreciate the time, man. You're the best. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.